You know how people say, you mess with the bull, you get the horns? Well, turns out sometimes that bull is a 72-year-old with arthritis and a busted hip, sitting on his porch with an electric fence manual and nothing left to lose. Let me back up a sec, because the day I realized the system was never coming to save me, that's when I finally found the guts to fight for what mattered. IT started on a Monday. Of course, because every horror story in suburbia begins with a Monday and a piece of mail you wish you'd just let sit in the box a little longer. My name's Tom Harlan, been a plumber and handyman in Oak Ridge since Carter was president. But that morning, my hands shook as I opened a certified envelope, a foreclosure notice screaming $3,200 past due, 60 days to pay or lose my home. And don't get me started on the numbers. Social Security, barely enough for groceries and insulin, a pension that's been shrinking since '95, and now this. That envelope landed right on my late wife's old recipe box. Not the place for bad news. Before I even had time to process the hit, the echo of sharp heels tapped up my driveway like some kind of parade. Enter Ashley Grant, the HOA president, and, as far as she was concerned, the queen of everything. Hair like spun gold, a suit that looked stitched from $100 bills, and a clipboard she held like a judge's gavel. "Mr. Harlan," she called out, sugary but sharp, "I trust you're maintaining community standards?" She flipped her photos at me, pictures of my fence. The one I'd fixed myself because, let's face it, contractors are for people who haven't had to choose between medication and lunch. That smile never reached her eyes as she announced my crime. $300 for unpermitted fence repair. My own damn fence, on my land, painted and straight, after 40 years paying property taxes. I said, "Ashley, I've done all my own repairs since before you were born," but she just handed me the violation, legal language thicker than concrete. And right there, I saw the game. Squeeze the old folks, make them desperate, and watch them sell out cheap. That was the move. I wasn't the first target, just the latest. When I tried calling the cops, all I got was "civil matters, sir." The HOA office. "All decisions are final. You may appeal for a $150 fee." Like I'm going to pay to argue over a $300 fine I never should have gotten in the first place. Doors shut, windows close, and I could feel my dignity shrinking one click at a time. That night, my neighbor Ruthie, lives 2 doors down, been here since Reagan, knocked like she was scared someone would see. "Tom, you got to know, it's not just you," she whispered. 6 folks gone in the last year. All seniors. Same story. Ashley runs him off. Then some company called Sterling Ridge scoops up the house for half price. She teared up thinking about old Mrs. Patterson, who fought for 4 months before a hospital visit finished the fight. "They want your land, Tom," Ruthie said, "not you." And the next day, Ashley brought Muscle, a security contractor, named Marcus, big guy, eyes anywhere but mine, probably needed the paycheck more than his pride. He snapped photos, mumbled something about documentation, and left. In his truck, a kid's drawing taped to the dash. I guess everybody's got their reasons. That week was a war of attrition. Every bill was a gut punch: Social Security, pension, taxes, meds. It's math that'll make you believe in miracles, because only a miracle keeps you in your house another month. But Ashley knew. She'd done her homework, probably ran my credit before she ran her mouth. That night, I found a letter from my wife's oncologist tucked in her old insurance files, a note in her handwriting. Ashley Grant isn't who she says she is. My heart stopped. What did she know? The next morning, I got an anonymous call. "Meet me at Joe's Diner if you want to know how Ashley picks her targets." I went, of course. A retired city inspector, nervous as a cat in a dog park, laid it out. She flags the old, the sick, the alone. Finds them until they're drowning. Then the developers move in. This wasn't about lawns or fences. This was organized theft wrapped in legalese that I tried every avenue: police, legal aid, even the county. Minimum retainer for HOA disputes is $2,500. The receptionist said, eyes glazed. I couldn't scrape together $300, much less that. So I started thinking, maybe the only way to keep what's mine is to build a moat. Not a real one, a legal one. I spent my last cash on a livestock-grade electric fence kit, County approved. Warning signs everywhere. It was all above board. Marcus saw me out there, wiring it up, and asked, "You think this'll stop him?" I said, "It'll slow down anybody who can read." Friday, the patrol came again. This time, Marcus hesitated. Ashley watched from her luxury SUV, nails drumming on the wheel, not willing to get her own hands dirty. Marcus climbed the fence, ignored the signs, reached for the latch, and got zapped clean off his feet. The whole block heard him holler. Phones popped out, neighbors filmed, teenagers laughed. Suddenly, Ashley wasn't so smug. Next thing you know, videos all over Facebook. Grandpa electrifies HOA. Oak Ridge fights back. Support poured in from everywhere. Folks bringing coffee, legal tips, even cash for groceries. Ashley doubled down, $200 a day fines. But something shifted. Ruthie started a petition. The Vietnamese lady across the street, Linda, went full-on activist, organizing meetings, calling news crews, translating everything into 3 languages. Then the twist. Marcus quit. Came by my place with his daughter in tow, apologized for every photo, and dropped a thumb drive full of HOA memos on my kitchen table. "Ashley's been embezzling," he whispered. "Every fine goes to cover her gambling debts. She's selling us all out." We took it to the county prosecutor, and, wouldn't you know it, suddenly folks in suits were knocking on Ashley's door instead of mine. Ashley tried to spin it, claimed she was protecting community values. The next HOA meeting was pure chaos. Ruthie read off a list of everyone who'd lost their home, every penny Ashley had siphoned into her own pocket. The room went silent, then erupted. The vote wasn't even close. Ashley was out. Linda elected HOA president. First order of business? Erase all the bogus fines and help people get their money back. Ashley's developer deals fell apart. The lawyers closed in, and her bank foreclosed on her own house for unpaid debts. The real punchline? She moved out of state, her name mud on every block. Ruthie bought back Mrs. Patterson's place for her son. Marcus got a real job, and I kept my home, my fence, and maybe a little dignity. You want a moral? Sometimes you don't need a hero. You just need to be too stubborn to let the bad guys win. Maybe justice is slow, maybe it never feels complete, but it can still taste pretty sweet with your morning coffee on the porch, electric gate humming, and neighbors who finally see what's worth fighting for. But you tell me, if the system let you down and the bullies kept coming, would you fight or fold? Drop your answer below. Because justice only lives where good people refuse to be quiet. You know, you'd think after all that, after the fireworks at the HOA meeting, the viral videos, Ashley hightailing it out of town, and neighbors finally locking arms, I'd get a breather. Maybe even a real night's sleep. Truth is, victory is never as clean or final as folks like to pretend. If you've ever fought City Hall or tangled with the kind of people who get high off power, you know what I mean. They never really disappear. They just go quiet, lick their wounds, and wait for you to lower your guard. First month of freedom felt almost surreal. People brought casseroles. Ruthie dropped off pound cake every Sunday. Linda ran the HOA like an actual community board, not a crime syndicate. Kids started leaving thank you notes in my mailbox. "Thanks for fighting for us, Mr. Tom." I'd catch myself smiling, sitting on that porch with my morning coffee, watching the sun crawl over my fence like maybe, just maybe, I'd finally earned some peace. But old habits die hard. Every time a strange car crept down my street, my stomach tightened. One Thursday morning, crisp, clear, sky so blue it hurt, I saw a black SUV parked half a block down. Didn't belong to anyone around here. Sat there for hours, engine running, someone behind tinted glass watching my house. I tried to ignore it, but by lunchtime, Ruthie had noticed too. "You expecting company, Tom?" she joked, but there was worry in her voice. By week 2, more little things went off. Fresh footprints by the back fence. Mail arriving opened, like someone was getting curious. A city inspector I'd never seen before poked around my property, asking strange questions. Was I planning to sell? Had I considered alternative living arrangements? Said his name was Carter, but the badge he flashed was one of those plastic clip-ons, the kind you get at Office Depot. Then, one evening, Liam, my grandson, came barreling up the porch steps, face pale as chalk. "Grandpa, Some guy tried to talk to me after school. Asked about your medical bills. Knew my name. I felt that old surge of adrenaline, the kind you get when you realize the wolves are still circling. They just got smarter about it. Let me back up a sec. See, what we didn't know was that Ashley wasn't working alone. There were bigger fish circling this pond, folks with more money, fewer scruples, and zero interest in neighborly potlucks. Sterling Ridge, those shadowy developers who'd bought up half the block on the cheap, had their own people, and now that Ashley was out, they needed a new way in. Rumor was they'd hired a property solutions firm out of Dallas, the kind that specializes in motivated sellers, which is code for make life so uncomfortable you'll sell your home just to get some peace. That's when the letters started coming again, this time, and signed. You're not safe here. Accidents happen, Mr. Harlan. My hands shook opening the third one, but my anger was stronger than my fear. I told Liam, son, you see anything strange, you call me. Don't go anywhere alone. And to Linda, I said, might be time to dust off the old neighborhood watch. She was way ahead of me. Within a week, she'd rallied a crew, Ruthie, Big Mike from across the street. Even Marcus came back, this time just a neighbor, not a contractor. We took shifts, patrolled at night, started documenting every weird car, every so-called inspector, every scrap of paper in our mailboxes. The vibe shifted fast, from fear to this kind of stubborn, gritty solidarity that I hadn't seen since the blizzard of '89. But the real twist came a month later, right when things started to settle. One afternoon, Ruthie got a call. Her daughter was in a car accident. She rushed out, left her door unlocked. While she was gone, someone broke in. Didn't take anything. No jewelry, no TV, just rifled through her files, her bills, her medicine cabinet. The message was clear. We can reach you whenever we want. That was the line for me. I wasn't about to let these people scare us back into silence. I pulled every document I had, old HOA notices, emails from Ashley, the memos Marcus had given me, boxed it all up and drove it straight to the local news station. You want a story about small-town corruption? I said, here's enough to keep you busy for weeks. Next morning, my face was all over the TV. Elderly homeowner fights back, again. Phones lit up. Suddenly, we weren't just a neighborhood. We were a cause. Folks from 3 counties overcalled, shared their own HOA nightmares. Lawyers volunteered time. Someone set up a GoFundMe for Ruthie's repairs. But Sterling Ridge? They panicked. They sent their new fixer. Slick, young, too much cologne, not enough conscience. He knocked on my door, offered a generous buyout. I laughed, said, buddy, you don't have enough zeros. He dropped the charm. People get hurt digging in their heels, Mr. Harlan. Just let go. Nobody wants this to get ugly. You threatening me, son? I asked, voice low. He blinked, like he didn't expect the old man to push back. I'm saying this is a business opportunity. Don't turn it into a problem. Here's what he didn't get. You can't scare a man who's already lost almost everything. And you sure can't threaten a community that's finally woken up. That be why the end of that week. The news station ran an expose, Sterling Ridge, their dirty tricks, the harassment, the break-in. The DA announced a formal investigation into predatory property practices. The fixer vanished, the black SUV disappeared, and, for the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we'd shifted the balance. Not for good, not forever, but enough. You want a tidy ending, but that's not how real life works. The developers, the sharks, they don't give up. They just move to easier targets. But in Oak Ridge, we found out that the only real defense is each other. A stubborn old man, a single mom with a clipboard, a retired security guard, a bunch of neighbors who decided enough was enough. 6 months on, I'm still here. Fence humming, porch creaking, coffee steaming in the morning light. Liam's got a scholarship essay to write, and he's thinking about studying law. Says he wants to help people who get pushed around. That alone makes every scar, every sleepless night, feel worth it. But every so often, I still see cars I don't recognize crawling past, windows too dark to see inside. Maybe nothing, maybe everything. I just nod, sip my coffee, and smile. The world's full of bullies, sure. But sometimes, every once in a while, the little guys win. And if they come for us again, well, They'll find we're not so easy to push around anymore. So what about you? You ever stand up when you knew you'd get knocked down? Would you do it again, knowing how messy it gets? Drop a comment below. Because the fight for dignity, yeah, that never really ends. Sometimes, the only thing that changes is who's watching and who's ready to stand up next.